To quad or not to quad? That is the question. Hey, Blender Bob here. Yeah, to quad or not to quad? It keeps coming again and again and again. Should a model be only quads, triangles? What about nGons? And okay, let's settle this once and for all. The answer is, it depends. Here we have three models. They look exactly the same, but they are completely different. If I turn on the wireframe, you will see why. See, the first one is the original one. It comes from CAD data and it's been transferred into polygons from solid modeling, and it's all triangle. This one has been cleaned up using a decimate modifier. We'll see more about this later, but it's full of nGons. And this one is the all quads version. Well, actually almost all quads. Now you may think that this one is much lighter, right? But if you look at it, you see it's about 8,000 polygons for this one. And if we look at the all quad version, it's 9,600, so it's not that much more. There are two important things you need to consider if you want to decide should I go triangle or all quads. If the model is going to be distorted or sculpted, you need all quads. If not, you can use any of the two first models. Also, the one in the middle will not work in 3D painting software like Mary. It doesn't support nGons. And I can guarantee you that if you need to send this to Houdini for simulation, the Houdini people will not work with this triangulated model. They need something very clean. This is a no-no. No messy models, all quads, no nGons. But if you work in gaming, the first one will work perfectly well because game engines only work in triangles. The Blender Bob channel is about working in the VFX industry, so let's continue this way. Alright, so we have this shape here and we have two triangles. We want to get rid of them. Well, the easiest way to get rid of any triangles or nGons is to just subdivide it. Because when you subdivide it, everything becomes a quad. But you also quadruple the amount of polygons, so you don't want that. So this is what happens when you subdivide. A vertex will be created in the middle of the polygon and it will be connected to the middle of every edges. So same thing here on the quad, it would go from here to the edges. So I'm not going to draw on all of them. I added a modifier on all of them. I'm just going to turn it on. It's going to be easier this way. So all this, turn on the modifiers, and you can see this is what it does. This is something I actually talked about in my previous video about bevel inner corners, so you can go check it out. So when you do a bevel like this, you want to make sure that the outer emitter here is at arc, so you can get a nice corner. And now we get an nGon, so we're just going to split this polygon here, this one, and this one here. Split, same thing on the other side. And now we get our nice bevel. But we still have these two triangles here that we want to get rid of, and now we have more lines in the way. So how can we fix that? By the way, I use my own Pi menus that I do with Pi menu editor, but these are the same tools that you use. So knife is knife and loop tool is loop tool. The advantage is that when I go knife, it's going to switch to edit mode automatically for me. Same thing with loop. Okay, so let's cut this, and here in the middle, you can press shift to go exactly in the middle. And now I cut this. All right, let's delete these edges here. So this one and this one here. Now I got two nGons here, so we can easily fix that. So we're going to go again with our knife tool, and we're just going to connect to these triangles here. And that's it. They are all quads now. This is a little bit too stiff, so what I'm going to do is select the vertices from inside here, all these that we created, and I'm going to smooth them. So I'm going to go in vertex and smooth vertices, and I'm not too crazy about the result. It's not what I wanted. So let's do a little bit of manual work here. I'm going to select this edge here, and I'm going to select the other one here. And I'm going to use Loop Tools. It's an add-on that comes with Blender. I don't know why it's not on by default, but it's very useful. So Loop Tools, and I'm going to go space. And that's going to make the space between all the edges the exact same thing. So let's try on these two. So Loop Tool, space. Yeah, it's okay. Not too bad. Maybe I can do another one. So let's try all of them again. And let's try another vertex smooth just to see if it's going to be better now. So vertex smooth. And that's pretty much the best we're going to be able to do with this geometry. I use an add-on called Mesh Check, and it's very good for finding all the triangles, the nGons, and everything that is wrong with your geometry. The link is in the description. Check it out. Look at the monkey, how messy it is. So this add-on is really, really useful to figure out what's wrong with the geometry. When you work on a face, on organic modeling, or an animal, whatever, every rigger will tell you everything needs to be quads. We don't want any triangles on a face. And you will get these vertices with 5 edges connected to it. You cannot avoid it. This is going to happen all the time everywhere on the geometry. It's okay, but try to place them at a place where there's not much distortion so that it flows much better when you do all the shape keys for the face. Let's split this polygon here. You will see that the faces will become yellow. That's because they're going to be triangles. So triangles are in yellow and nGons are in red. So let's cut this geometry here to create some nGons. So tack, 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 tack. And now you can see they became red. That's because they are nGons. Let me get more edges here. So from here to here and from here to here. And you see the vertex in the center just became red. That's because there are more than 5 edges connected to this point. So that should be avoided as much as possible, but there are exceptions. For example, if you use an icosphere, then you don't have a choice. That's the way they are. So everything is connected to the center. And if you do a planet, the map will be set up to use an icosphere, so you have to live with it. But if you can avoid using icospheres, if it's not a planet, if it's not a texture that can be wrapped around it, well, then I suggest that you use a round cube. You can get this with the extra object add-on. It comes with Blender. This also should be turned on by default. So you go round cube, where is it? Round cube, and then you will get this thing here. And if you play with the radius, actually it's a cube, but if you play with the radius, you will eventually get a sphere. And this is much easier to texture. All the UVs are going to be uniform, so it's a much better way to work. Here's another problem with the isospheres. You cannot sculpt them properly because all the polygons have a different size. So let's add a multi-resolution modifier on them, and I will subdivide a few times. Now, if I go into sculpt mode, well, on the side it looks pretty good because the polygons are pretty much at the same size. But if I go on the top here, on the pole, it's going to look very, very crappy. Whoops, where's my geometry? It's back. So let's go back into object mode and remove this. You can see that we get all these lines here. It's pretty bad. If you used a cube sphere instead, well, you wouldn't have this issue. What? You don't believe me? How dare you? Okay, same thing here. I'm going to subdivide a few times. I'm going to smooth this. I'm going to go into sculpt mode and I'm going to draw on it. So la 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 la. You can see there are some poles here, but they are very small and they will not affect the sculpt. So now you will get a very, very good result. And that's why you don't want to use icospheres, but there are exceptions. I spoke before about planets, but also icospheres are usually used for eyeballs also. So just take your geometry here. I'm going to do a little bevel, just these tiny bevel, 2 divisions. Then select the polygons that are in front and move them just a little bit forward. And that's going to be my eyeball. One thing that modelers often do to have quads everywhere is to delete 1 out of 2 edges when you have a pole like this. So when you delete them, you will end up with quads instead of triangles. But if you take a look at it without the wireframe, you will see that you get some artifacts here, so we don't want that. So in this case, we want to keep the triangles. But it will work very well on a cylinder. So let me take the cap here. I will just inset it a little bit. And then I'm going to poke the face. So we go in face, poke, 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 poke. Here we go. And now if I delete 1 out of 2 edges, in this case it will work very well because it's a flat surface. And you will get quads that have about the same size as the other polygons. So yeah, it's a good way to do it. But let me show you an even better way to fill the cap for cylinders, especially if you have more polygons on the sides. All right, we're going to try with this one here. I will select 1 out of 2 edges, I will delete them and end up with quads. So yeah, we have quads, but they're not very good quads. And here on the edges, I like to get very nice edges, not like 1 out of 2. So there's a way to fix that, and it's very easy, and we're going to make it way much better. What I'm going to do is take this and just inset them a little bit. So like this, and now I get clean edges everywhere. And I can do it a second time here. So that's better than what we had before, but far from perfect because the quads are not very square, they are very elongated, and it's not a good idea. So what can we do to fix it? Well, I'm going to take the center and just delete it. Select the entire edge here, and I'm going to go into faces and I'm going to do grid fill. By the way, in order for this to work, you want to make sure that you have an even number of sides when you create your cylinder. Then I'm going to grow my selection, not all the way to the end. We want to keep 1 row of polygons. And I'm going to go into the vertex menu and I'm going to go smooth polygons. And then you can change the amount of smooth that you want. And you see, now I get something that's much better. This can be sculpted. It's going to work very well. Much better than if you do all the triangle crap. Okay, this one here. This one is all twisted. This is an illegal polygon because you can see it looks like triangles. That's because the renderer cannot deal with a shape that is that twisted. An easy solution for that, we're just going to add edge loops. And you see the yellow circle in the center. It's because I'm still in inset mode. I don't know why, but anyways. So I'm going to add more divisions like this. And now I get a proper geometry. If you need to bevel corners like in here, make sure that you have an even number of divisions for your bevel so you get a nice quad in the corner. If you have 3 here, you cannot cut this and get a quad. It's not going to work. So if I try to connect this and this, same thing vertically, then I'm stuck with this weird nGon that I cannot deal with. Now let's see if we have 4 divisions. In this case, we can draw an edge here and to the corner, so we get 2 quads. Other ways you could do this is like this, but that's not very good because you get this corner here and the polygons don't have the same size, same area, so not very good. You could try like this, but it's still not perfect. Okay, so let's try something. We're going to take everything that's on this face here. So I'm just going to select one face here, and you can go select coplanar, and then it's going to select everything on the face, and I'm going to inset it. And now I get a nice edge all the way around, and now I can fix all these issues here. So what happens if I try to smooth these vertices? Well, it's not going to work well because you see it becomes all distorted, and I need more resolution. So I'm going to add retaining edges here. Is it going to work? Well, let's give it a try. Retaining what? Retaining edges. You see this cube here with the bevels? If I turn on a subdivision modifier, you see it's not a cube anymore. It's kind of bulgy. So we don't want that. So the idea of using retaining edges is that you add an edge very close to the bevel, another one a little bit further away, maybe one in the center. And now if you turn on the subdivision modifier, you get a perfect cube. That works. Problem is you don't have a nice distribution of the polygons. So if you want to sculpt it, it's not going to look good. And if you want to distort it, it's not as good either. So you better do like this. This is the exact same amount of division as the other one, but everything is uniform. If you ever give me a model with retaining edges, you're gonna do push-ups. And that's the situation we have here. It's a very crappy model because there's not much we can do with this if we need to do anything special with it. Well, you can see if I turn off the optimal display, you can see the polygons are not uniform at all. So if I sculpt it, I will get this issue here. Everything is fine here, but I come here and everything looks really, really bad. You've guessed it, we're gonna add an awful lot of loops. Better but not perfect, so it's still a little bit messy in the center. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna select this one, select everything that is coplanar. I'm gonna shrink the selection, and then I'm gonna do a smooth vertices. So this way everything will be very well distributed. You can change the level of subdivision to adjust it as needed. Now I get something that's workable. And if I add a multi-res subdivision modifier, then I can sculpt it and everything is going to be absolutely perfect. Now you may think that I need some bevels on the edge to keep them sharp. No, you don't. Screw the bevels. Just select the edges here and crease them. So you can go here. I'll put them to, I don't know, like 0.8 so that it's not perfectly sharp. So 0.8. And now if I turn back on my subdivision modifier and go back to object mode, you will see that now everything is working. So let's remove the optimized display so we can see all the geometry here. Donks. Now you get your geometry and it works with the corners. It's better than if you had bevels, so you don't have like a gazillion polygons in the corners. You know what? Let's try it with the bevels. I'm just got my bevel, 2 divisions. We never need more than 2 divisions for bevel. Very rarely, unless it's a very, very big one. But if it's just to catch a highlight on the corners, 2 divisions is enough. And remember, it's going to be subdivided too. Oh, but wait, it doesn't work. Why? That's because your bevel modifier is under the multi-res and that's not working. You cannot do that. What you need to do is to apply the bevel modifier first. You need to do this absolutely, and then you can do your multi-resolution modifier. This is what I get. If I zoom out, you can see that the density of polygons on the edges is really, really high. Sculpting will work fine though. If your object is going to be distorted, twisted, broken, whatever, you need a uniform mesh. Because here you see if I twist this, I get these illegal polygons in the center. It looks like crap. It's very simple. We need more divisions. So let's fix it by adding a ridiculous amount of edge loops. And here we go. Perfectly twisting geometry. Now it's all good. When you have a clean geometry, a nice mesh, you can select edge loops and you can insert edge loops anywhere you want. It's very easy to work with. If you have triangles, then you are screwed. So if I take this and triangulate it, now it's impossible to select an edge loop because it's just a big mess of polygons. So even if I click on it, if I double click, if I control, alt, or whatever, any options you can imagine, it's not going to work. So yeah, it's a messy thing. And if I select everything and I want to quadrangulate it, to put it back into squares, well, you see it's not working because it's so twisted, not working well. So always have a clean geometry. It's much nicer to work with and to modify later. Another reason why you want a uniform mesh is if you use displacement map. So in this case, I have this grid here. I will connect the displacement and you will see the geometry is actually displaced. It moves the vertices up and down. Now, if I want to see a better resolution, I will turn on the subdivision modifier, and you will see now I get a cool result. If I apply the same shader on the other geometry here, well, this is what I get. You see, it's not uniform. It looks really bad. So the way to fix this is to get a uniform geometry. There is, however, another way to fix this. So you can go in your renderer, and instead of using the default cycle renderer, you're going to go into experimental. So I will click here, and here I will choose experimental. And when you do this in your subdivision modifier, you have adaptive subdivision. And this will fix the issue. It will create micro polygons, and you will get the result that you expect. The big advantage of this is that you don't need to worry how much geometry you need. You could have a single polygon and get the same result. So you can get a much lighter geometry and get a nice displacement map however close you get to your geometry. But it's going to cost you in render time. And it's cycles only. It's not going to work in Eevee. Sometimes for very complex models, you will end up with a triangle in the middle of a flat surface, and there's just nothing you can do about it. If you have an odd number of triangles, you will not be able to resolve the geometry. If it's an even number, there's always a way to connect them together. So what can you do in this case? The only thing you could do is to cut this edge here, but you will need to continue that cut all the way across your model. But for me, I would leave it as a triangle probably because it's a good triangle. It's a triangle that's not going to give you any trouble if you subdivide the geometry. So don't go too crazy about this all quad thing. It's okay to have a few triangles here and there. I'd like to show you a few ways to resolve when you have to connect two meshes that have different densities. So if we have one line here, what you can do is just connect from one corner to the other like this. You get a triangle. Well, the only way you can get rid of it is to select one of the edge of the triangle and split like this. But then again, as I explained before, you will get a denser mesh. In this case, I will cut from here to here, and then I will select the edge in the center, and I will just delete it to get a quad. There's another method that you can use in this situation, and there it is. If you have many edges you need to connect like this, well, just do like I showed you previously. You just go like this, bang, 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 and you go around, delete the edges in the center to get quads, and you can keep going like this forever. Doesn't matter how many edges you need to connect, it's always going to work. Okay, in this case, if you don't want to add more polygons on the heavy side already, the only thing you can do is to add more polygons on the lightest side. If you have this, two ways you can do it. If you go like this, the problem you will get is that you get two triangles, and then you would have to add more edges on the dense side, and you don't want this. So undo this. The only thing you can do actually to fix this is to cut from this corner to this corner. Oh, actually there is a way to get it all quads. So cut from here to here and then connect the two triangles together. So that's going to be all quads. A little bit dense compared to the others, but it's working. Okay, 4 to 1. This one is pretty simple. You just connect from the center here to the edge. Same thing at the bottom. And that's it, you're done. All right, now it's getting more complicated. We have a 5 to 1. So we're going to connect just like we did. So let's try from here to here. And same thing at the bottom here. And well, actually we have quads everywhere, so we're good. Now the last one is a little bit more complicated. If you get into this situation, well, your mesh is not very good to start with. So we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And now the only way to resolve this is actually to have an edge here, which is actually a good thing. And once you are done, you can always select all the vertices and do the smooth vertex trick. And don't forget to adjust the repeat so that you get just the right amount of smoothing. By the way, when you edit a model, you want to make sure that your edge loops are going to be closed, not like this one here when it's a spiral that goes all around the model. This used to happen a lot with a ZBrush remesher. Now, some of you find it very difficult to model in quads only. It is very difficult, but it's something that you get used to. And the more you do it, the better you get at it, and you find some tricks and you get better and better and better at it. Now, you know the model I showed you at the beginning, you know the same model that was in 3 different versions? Well, I'm going to show you how I did the quad version because, yeah, I'm the one who did it. It was a very long process. It took about 4 hours to do, and I edited it to try to make it as short as possible. It's still very long. I hope you're going to follow all the way to the end, but you will see all the tricks that I used to do this. The first thing you want to do when you get a model like this is to use a decimate modifier, and then you change it into planar right there at the end, and bam! Now we only have quads and nGons. Good luck, Maya users. And you see that sometimes we get some heavy corners, sometimes it's not as dense, so we need to adjust this here. So let me show you, for example, here in the corner. Here we got 4 divisions. It's not uniform everywhere. You can adjust the angle here so you can get the geometry that you lost by default settings. So this looks good. Just going to take a quick look everywhere to see if everything's okay. All right, so that looks okay. Now we'll apply the modifier. Next step, since it's a symmetrical piece, I'm going to use a mirror modifier so I can create an edge in the center of the geometry, because right now there's none. So now I got this nice edge. So that's perfect, that's what I want. Now I can apply it and delete one side of the geometry. Modeling with all these blue lines for the hard edges is really annoying for me. So what I do is I select everything and I will just smooth the entire geometry. So make it completely smooth everywhere. And then I will add an edge modifier. So edge, where it is, where is it? Edge split modifier. And now I get the same result, but at least I get black lines instead of all these blue lines everywhere too thick. For these round parts, I get 3 of them. I will select the center polygon, grow the selection, and then just extract the geometry so it's a separate piece. I can work on it later. Again, I'm using my own custom pie menus, but it's the same function as you do. It's just an extract. So same thing for the 2 other ones. But whoops, my normal's all screwed up again. What's going on here? I do have my edge modifier. That's because I have custom normals on the geometry. So I'm just gonna go into here and I'm gonna clear the custom normals, and now it's back to normal. Okay, so I can hide this part. I don't need it anymore, not for now. Now I need to fill that hole. So I'm gonna select the edge all the way around and I'm just gonna fill it. So here, fill. Then I select the polygons that are around. This one and this one, I fill it again, and now it makes a flat surface. Oh, it looks like I'm missing some edges here, so let me just rebuild them very fast. That's probably because when I did my decimate, my angle wasn't good enough, wasn't at the right setting, so I lost some edges. I'm just going to fix it and go around and make sure that everything is okay. So I'm missing some here, and so from here to, I will try to connect them actually together from here to this one in the center, right there. Same thing at the bottom. Now the problem that I have is that one has 3 divisions and the other one has 5, so I cannot connect them properly. What I want is to have 4 divisions, 4 polygons in the round areas. I don't want 5, I don't want 6, I don't want 3, I want 4, and you will see why later. So now I got 4 divisions, but they're not equally distributed. That's an easy fix. So I can select all these edges here. Actually, you just need to select one of the round edges and select the edge ring, and it's going to select them all. Then you right click, you go into loop tools and you go space, and it's going to put them all at the same distance. Loop tool is an add-on that comes with Blender. You just need to turn it on. Obviously something is not working here because on one side I got 3 divisions and on the other one I got 4, so it cannot connect properly. So I will need to fix it. I'm going to use a loop tool to do this, insert an edge in the center. Then I will select these edges here. And again, I will select the entire ring here. I made a hotkey to do it because I use this all the time. And then I'm going to do, again, loop tool and space. Now this is fixed. Now we can connect from here to here. One trick I like to do is to select the polygon, do a triangulate, then quadrangulate. And most of the time it works, but in this case it didn't work here. So I'm just going to split this one and delete these 2 edges. But you will see later, I will show you some examples where it works very well. And now I'm going to keep going to make sure that every corner has 4 divisions. Not 3, not 2, I want 4. Here we get a little bit of a situation here, so we need to fix that corner here, make it clean. So I'm going to start by using my loop tool and divide this by 2. Then I will go at the opposite edge here. I will select it and do a Shift W to divide it, subdivide it in 2 parts. But when you do this, you can actually go there, and what I want is not 1 but 2 divisions. So now I have enough vertices to connect from here to here, press J, from here to here, press J. This part is done. Okay, let's keep going. I will fast forward here because there's not much to see, nothing that crazy. It's just inserting lines and just cutting stuff. But you can see that I always keep the original points that were there on the geometry. I don't create a different geometry. I don't redo the bevels. I try to keep all the points that are already there to begin with. Then I went around and I fixed all the nGons I could find. There are so many of them, but these ones are very easy to fix. So I like to use the mesh check add-on to make sure that all the nGons have been fixed. Actually, the small ones, the big ones, that's going to be another issue. But right now I want to make sure that all the small ones have been fixed. And this is where it becomes complicated to fix all these big nGons. So let's try with an easy one. This one here, I'm going to select the polygon and just do an inset so that I make sure I get clean edges all the way around. This is something very important for me. I want to make sure everything is clean. Then I will merge all the overlapping vertices so that this way I will end up with only 8 instead of 40. The next step is to delete these edges here so I get quads in the corners. And it looks that for some reason I had an extra edge here, so I will get rid of it. This one here and this one, delete. Alright. Okay, now maybe I could connect these vertices here to create quads, so I don't have this big nGon here. This is an improvisation thing. You just go and you cut and then you adjust and you keep going, and I'm going to do stuff and redo it again and fix everything. You will see. It's a complicated process. And I will do the exact same thing for all the big nGons around the geometry. This for me is the best way to remove the amount of vertices that you have, especially in the corners, otherwise you would get way too many. It's going to be very hard to deal with. Don't forget to clean the corners to make them quads. Alright, now that I have reduced the amount of points on my big nGons, I will try to split it into smaller chunks. I try to keep it square-like. I mean, for example, this one here is not going to be a square, it's not going to be a quad, but it's going to look like a quad. I will fix it later. Okay, that's pretty much what I wanted. Okay, so let's check out this edge here. I know by experience that the level of division is probably going to be something like this. So I will try it. I will try this, and if it doesn't work, I can always adjust later. I can still connect a few vertices here, so I can try this one here. What else can I do? Maybe this one here. Well, I don't want to go too far because it's going to be a tricky part. So for now, I'm just going to leave it like this. Okay, same thing with these faces here. I will just offset them. Let's see, I got a lot of vertices here. Maybe I could just collapse them all. So we'll just select them and merge them together. Same thing here. I mean, these are just too many polygons in this area. It's going to be too dense. So let's try to keep it lighter. If it doesn't work, I'll fix it later. And of course, I will delete these edges here to keep everything as a quad. And I will do the same thing all the way around. Maybe it's not the right way to do it for now. It doesn't matter. I mean, this is all improvisation. You try stuff. If it doesn't work, you can fix it later. It's not a problem. Oh, here it's a little bit problematic. How am I going to connect this? Well, maybe I could just insert here a vertex, and then I will merge all these points together. I can also try to connect points that I know that are aligned that will be connected for sure. So like, for example, this one here, I will use the knife tool and just cut like this. Now you have to make sure that everything has been cut properly, like inside the groove here. Maybe it didn't work all the way. Yeah, that's what I thought. So I will have to fix this area here. So just cut from this one here to this one. All right. Oh, I forgot to do the inset here. Well, it's not too late. I will do it right now. So just inset. Now the reason I do all these insets, it's because of all of the round corners to make the geometry lighter, so it's easier to cut and do edge loops. If I didn't have all these round corners, I wouldn't do the inset here. Alright, all these points here, I'm just going to merge them together. Whoops, a little bit more. Merge, alright. And now we play connect the dots again. So this one here, and well, we can make a nice quad here. So connect these. There's a round here, but this arc of a circle is too big. I will not merge all these points here because it's too big, and I'm sure I will need these divisions later. Obviously, this line here will have to go all the way there, probably all the way to the bottom also, but for now, I'm just going to keep it like this. And I'm going to fix here the problem that occurred here like we had before, so connect from here to here. And it's done. You know what? Let's finish it all the way down. It doesn't have to be perfectly vertical. You're going to see we're going to do so many modifications on this. So it doesn't have to be perfectly aligned for now. We don't care. And one more cut to finish the entire loop. So now I'm going to keep going like this. For every big panels I can find that I can offset, I will do it. And merge all the vertices like described before. And here's another one I can bring all the way down. This one is pretty big. It goes all the way around the geometry. So I will do my inset here. And now I will do the cleanup. I know I said everything's going to be adjusted later, but I still like to keep everything clean when I model. So I will just align them. I know they're going to move later, but you know, it's just nicer to work with. And of course, we don't want to forget to delete the edges in the corners to make sure that we have quads everywhere. Okay, I just cut 6 minutes of a cleanup because it would have been so long and boring. Now that everything is done, I will start connecting points like I did before. So these obviously needs to be connected. I will do the obvious stuff first. So like this for sure needs to be connected there, and this one on the other side. I will speed this up so you can see all the cuts that I do. Okay, here I can see that I have a very large polygon and then 3 small ones next to it. So I'll try to even the distribution by inserting 2 loops here. So what's going on here on top? It's a little bit messy. I'll fix it later. The important part is that here I got an even distribution of polygons, and now I can continue connecting all the dots. Oh, but before I continue, I can see that these are not properly spaced. So I'm just going to use space from loop tool to make them at equal distance. I have a marking menu, but it's the same thing as if you right click, you go in loop tool and space. All right, here I'm going to insert 4 loops. This way I know they are all at equal distance. I don't have to do it manually. And for this big nGon here, I'm not going to do it manually. I'm going to triangulate and quadrangulate. Much faster. I do this all the time, so I have hotkeys for triangulate and quadrangulate. Obviously, this one will be connected to this one at the bottom here. For the other ones, before I continue, I think I should offset in this area here. That's this part here. Yeah. So let me do this. Okay, now edge loops 2 here, and then I connect with the points on top. So select this one and this one, press J to connect them, this one and this one. It's much faster sometimes to use J instead of the knife tool. Okay, we have one more. Where are we going to connect it? So let's divide this one here. You can press Shift W to divide them, and it's going to connect the points already for you. So that's another cool way to do it. So that works here. There's one polygon that's problematic. I'll fix it later. I don't want to do it now. And we need to finish this. Where am I going to connect all that stuff? You need to look at the big picture where everything's going to be connected. And here I can see there's an issue here that I didn't fix before. So maybe I should fix this first. And then I got totally distracted and I forgot to finish the line I was supposed to align. So I just kept cutting and cutting and cutting and merging and cutting and cutting and merging and cutting. A little bit of fast forward here because it's already taking a long time and we're at 30 minutes and 50 seconds already, and I tried to make this tolerable for you guys. Oh, this is important here. We know that the geometry is going to be mirrored, so we don't want this line here. We want to get rid of it. So I'm just going to cut here to make it straight. And I'm going to delete the extra edges. When I did the offset on this part, it kind of screwed up the corners here, so I will have to fix it by just aligning these vertices with the ones on the other side so that I get a continuity. Okay, at this point I think I did all the offsets on the geometry. Now what I need to do is to cut everywhere to try to get quads everywhere, just quads. So I'll just cut and cut and cut until I get just quads. Here I select a bunch of edges and we'll just press the Shift W to insert a dot in between and connects everything at the same time, which is great. Now you will see that the more you make quads, the denser the mesh will be. Well, that's the way it is. There's no way around it. And if I didn't merge the vertices in the corner when I did the offset, it would be insane. It would be way too dense. Oh, and there's the edge I totally forgot to do before. So let's try to cut all the stuff here. Boom, connect this and this. All right, this is done. All right, we need to fix that too. Okay, so obviously I need to cut horizontally here, so I will do it. Let's fix the top part here. So here, insert edges. I need 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 4. Then I can connect all these vertices, and that should do it. I will connect these 2 vertices so that after this I can do a nice edge loops to connect all these vertices. So now I can go edge loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, edge loops. Triangulate, quadrangulate. Here we go. Same thing here. So let's do an edge loop here with 2 divisions, and then we connect these. Triangulate, quadrangulate. It's done. Now that most of the parts are quads, it's easier to insert edge loops. So here I can insert an edge. Before I was using the cut tool. I don't need to do this anymore. I can just insert an edge, but I still have to do this manually here, pressing J to connect the dots. Cleanup continues here. So these lines here, Shift W, connect these 2. Whoops. Here I will also insert 2 edge loops and I will connect them with the edges under here, these. But the problem is the polygons don't have the same width, so they're all different. So there's an easy way to fix this. You select all these here and then you select the ring. So there's a function I showed you before to select the ring. So now it gets everything here, but it also gets a lot of stuff that we don't want to be adjusted. Some are good, but some are not, and some are just floating in the middle of nowhere. So a little cleanup before I do it, because I want to make sure that I only do it where I need it. Like here, we don't want for sure to mess with this area. So once everything is cleaned up, you use the space function from loop tool. This part is a little bit messy. I'm just going to do a quick fix. I don't really need to do this now, but I'm doing it just so that, you know, it's aligned. I don't like when it looks too messy, but I know I'm going to have to come back and revisit this part anyway. Okay, let's take a break and take a look at the mesh tool add-on to check where are the nGons to see if I missed anything. Looks like there's a problem here. There's a little vertex here. I'll just snap it here. It's gone. And yeah, there are still a few nGons at places that shouldn't be any nGons here. You see there's a little, I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to cheat a little bit because it's easier to just snap it here. Nobody will be able to tell, and just realign this one with this one. I don't want to add extra polygons just for something so small. So yeah, I'm cheating here. This one here, so nGons. So I'm going to fix as many nGons as I can, the easy ones. I remember that part here. I told you the circle, the arc on top, I didn't want to merge all the points because I would need them later. Well, I do. And now I can connect them, and I'm very lucky because I got the exact right number of edges to connect them. So I'm very, very lucky. Here's another part where I was very lucky. So I inserted this edge here and edge loop here. And then when I go check on the other side where this goes, it kind of, whoops, oh, it turns out it's perfectly aligned with this one. So of course I'm going to connect them. But I don't want to forget that on the other side, I still need to finish here this connection. So this one and this one connect. Here I get into a situation where I don't want to extend this edge all the way to the end because it's going to get too heavy. So I'm going to do the little trick I've shown you before. So I'm just cutting like this, and the other one on top. And that's it, all quads. Another situation here where I use space to distribute everything evenly. Maybe I can try this one too. So let's see what it does. Space, yeah. Now I'm at a point where I try to get the mesh uniform everywhere. So get squares that would be equally spaced. So I can just add some edges here. Oh, I need to finish at the bottom. Why it didn't go all the way through? There must be a bad polygon somewhere. It wasn't connected here. That's why it didn't work. So I will just fix it and then add the edges that are missing. So loop tool and triangulate, quadrangulate. Now let's do the same thing here. Okay, this one goes all the way through. That's good. So 4 edges should be okay. Now I need to fix that triangle on top. And this is how I'm going to do it. And let's go on this side here and insert more edges. So loop tool. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. And now I just need to connect the dots. Okay, one more loop here. It doesn't go all the way through. Why? There's an extra vertex here. So let's get rid of it. Okay, let's try again. Loop. Yeah, now it's working. Let's see how it goes at the bottom. It goes there. Maybe I don't want it all the way there. Maybe I want to put it, just align it with this one and then connect these two dots together. Nah, actually it's a bad idea. I prefer to add an extra loop here. Yeah, that's much better. So this one, now I can align it with this one here. Poof, and connect them together. Yeah, that's pretty good. And this one I can connect here. Whoops, there's a mess here. Let me fix that. Let's work on the sides. So here, edge loops, we want to get squares. So these look pretty good. All right. If I want to be able to do my edge loops all the way across, I need to connect from one side to another. So let's take, for example, I don't know, this vertex here. See on the other side, there's one here. Let's connect them together. Yeah, okay, that should work. Same thing at the bottom. So I can connect this point here with this one here. So now I should be able to insert edge loops all the way through. And here we go. Let's get some squares. Maybe one more. Yeah, that looks good. All right. Cool. More loops. Make sure you match the other side and then select the polygon in between that is not connected. Triangulate and quadrangulate. Tung tung. All right, let's see if we can fix this. First of all, I will get rid of this big edge here. I don't need it. That goes all the way through. Like this, we're going to connect all this stuff horizontally. So this one with this one. blah, 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 blah. Seriously, guys, I'm really lucky that it aligns perfectly like this. Okay, here, what do? We need an extra edge here. So let's do this loop. And yeah, it goes all the way through though. Maybe I don't want that. So I'm just going to delete the extra edge it added here. So just delete this one here and then select the entire loop and delete it. Okay, and what am I going to do with this? Just connect it. I get a triangle. We'll fix it later. And yeah. So now let's connect vertically. So like this and try to get quads again. But before I do that, I need to fix all these bad polygons first. What is going on here? Looks like I deleted an edge by mistake. Yes, all collapsed here. Easy fix. Let's just connect these two vertices. Punks. Okay, now I can continue. Here I added a bunch of loops, but I'm not so lucky when I go on the other side and check. Now it's not perfectly aligned, so I will have to do something to fix it. Oh well, turns out it's not too bad. I just need to align this one here. Let's connect these. Then insert a loop in the middle here and another one at the bottom. And then connect the points. So yeah, it wasn't too bad. But that extra edge is going in the middle of nowhere, so I need to fix it. And I saw that I have some nGons here, so these are easy to fix. I'm just going to connect them from one side to another by pressing J. And then one edge loop, and I connect with the other side. And this part has been fixed. So this one here, and connect this one with this one, and then this one with this one, and we're good. Okay, so we keep going on our way down, insert edge loops. Let's see if I messed up the other side. No, this part's not done yet, so I'm okay. Now I can finish this part. Okay, let's add some lines here, and now it becomes a little bit tricky at the corner. And also if I look at the lower left corner, that's not good either, because I have a very, very long edge there. Okay, how am I going to fix that? Well, I'm going to fix the bottom part first, but I know that if I insert edge loops, it's going to go all the way around, and I don't want this. What I'm going to do is just cut here. It's not the best way to do it. I realized this while I'm doing this clip here, but this is just to make sure that I'm going to break the continuity. So now I can insert the edge and it's going to stop right there. And then I can delete this edge that I created, that I don't need it anymore. But what I should have done, actually, instead of going through all this trouble, is to just select the edges that I wanted to split and just press Shift W to cut them. Anyways, it's not that important. Now I can insert edges here and fix that area. Oh, I got two triangles here. That's an easy fix. When you have an even number of triangles, you can always get rid of them. So we'll split like this and then just delete this edge. And here we go, all quads. Let me select all these edges here and press Shift W to split and connect them. Oh, and while I'm there, looks like I forgot to do the inset on this part, so let me fix this very fast. And of course, these three edges that I need to fix, so just gonna cut here, select the three edges and delete them. Insert edge loops. It's not going all the way through. I will fix it later. Now I want to go back to the bottom part. So here, okay, more edge loops. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they look like a square to me. That looks good. Now on this side, I will need 4 divisions. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, can I connect this in the back? I'm sure I can. Okay, I will fix this manually. I will deal with the nGon at the corner later. Let's keep going. Connect, 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 connect. Oh, I got an extra one. I will just get rid of it and then I will space everything back. Okay, we continue the cleanup. Oh, I'm very lucky because I got 3 edge loops here. Only 3 that I need to connect, and it's going to work on both sides, up and down. So I'm very lucky. Triangulate, quadrangulate. This one too. Triangulate, quadrangulate. I'm really lucky. And this one here, nah. All right, I'll fix it. Yeah, I got a triangle, I see it, but maybe I'll fix it later. Okay, little cleanup here. So obviously this one is going to be connected with this one, and this one with this one at the bottom. Now here I need to insert an edge in the middle, so let's do that. Let's go edge loop. It doesn't go through, that means there's something wrong somewhere. So let's start with adding this one here, connect the dots, and try to see what is going on, why it didn't go through. Okay, I will add the other loop here, and let's see what it does on top here. Yeah, it creates a mess. I don't want this. No, I don't want to keep this. So what I'm going to do is just delete one edge here, and then select all these ones and delete them. And I got a little triangle here, but it's okay. Maybe we'll fix it later. So I'll just connect these 2 dots. Okay, let's go back down. So let's see what happened here. Okay, so it's just these 2 points I need to connect. What happened? Why it didn't work? And there it is. There are 2 points here that needed to be connected and they were not. So now it's fixed. Okay, let's continue where we were. So connect all these dots. These are obvious. Now we end up with 2 nGons here. So what can we do? Well, there's an easy way to fix it. It's not elegant. I mean, I would prefer another solution. We'll come back to this later, but now I just want to fix it temporarily. So I'm just going to go like this here, duck, duck, duck in the middle of the edges, and then connect the corners 1, 2, and 3. And that's it. Now we have fixed this area. It's all quads. It was time to do some cleanup, so I selected a lot of edge loops and I used space from loop tool to make them evenly spaced. I will skip this, I will go very fast because it took a very, very long time. Still, it's not always perfect, so in this case I go to plan B, which is selecting all the polygons I want to fix. And I want to make sure I keep a row all the way around. I don't want to go all the way to the edges. So I select these polygons here. I need to remove one more row here. Then I go into vertex and I go smooth and I adjust as needed so I get a clean mesh. I've turned on the mesh check add-on again so I can see if I have any nGons in the way that I need to get rid of, and some triangles too. So it looks like these 2 triangles, this would be very easy to fix. Actually, it was in the demo I just showed before. So I select these points here and I connect them together, and I go here in diagonal, connect them together and delete a few edges, and it's all quads. Here I got a situation where I got a bunch of triangles, and yes, I can get rid of all of them, but it would make the mesh much denser, and I don't want that. I prefer to keep the triangles. Yeah, I do. So this is how I would fix it. I would connect this one with this one, this edge here with here, and this one is easy, just cut like this. But then my mesh will be completely ununiform. And what about the last one? Yeah, the last one I could connect this edge here, and like this, and like this, and like this. Well, there are many other ways that we could do to connect them together, but you know, I prefer to keep the triangles, at least for now. Here we have a triangle and an nGon. That's going to be easy to fix, so I'll just go into my knife tool and I'm going to connect the middle of this edge here and like this, and here we go, all quads. I will select all these vertices and go into vertex and smooth again. If you reach this situation where you have a triangle that you cannot get rid of, try to put it in a place that is not going to bother you too much. So in this case, it's like deep inside this groove. Should be okay. Okay, it's getting better and better. The mesh looks pretty good. It's still not perfect, but I'm still working on it also. Let's add the round parts. At the beginning we had some round parts that I put invisible. So let's bring them back and attach them to the main geometry. And that's going to be pretty easy. Okay, first I'm going to clean up this geometry because it's a mess. So this part here, triangulate, quadrangulate. Same thing with this one, triangulate, quadrangulate. Then I remove the extra edge. Same thing for this one here, triangulate, quadrangulate. One here, quadrangulate, triangulate, extra edges, delete. Select the central face, poke it. So you're going to face here and poke, 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 where poke. And now that the geometry is clean, I can remove 1 out of 2 edges here, edge loops. Why? Because it's too heavy. It has 24 divisions, so we don't need that many. 12 is going to be just enough. I just select all of these and I delete them. Poof. And then I can go in the center and I will delete 1 out of 2 edges so that we have quads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then delete. Here we go, all quads. The normals are all messed up. That's easy to fix. Let's try with an edge split modifier. And nah, it's still messy. So I'm just going to go here and clear the custom normals. Yeah, okay, now it's good. Okay, so I'm going to select the 9 polygons that surround the circle. And I'm going to inset them just so that I will get a little bit more resolution. So this one here, and I'm going to do it a second time. Now in loop tool, if you right click loop tool, you have circle, and you're going to circle this part and you can rotate it to align it with your geometry. Actually, what I want to do is to align the circle with the mesh and not the circle in the back, because this is cleaner. This way it's more properly oriented. Okay, little adjustment here to align it. Okay, that's good. Let me move these vertices out of the way. So all I'm going to do is to select them. Then I'm going to go into vertex and I'm going to smooth them. I don't need these polygons anymore. Bye-bye. Okay, I will rotate this part here so that it's aligned with the mesh. That looks pretty good. I'll round it to 15 degrees because that's probably what it's supposed to be anyway to begin with. Now I just need to snap the points on the other one. Now I did something a little bit stupid here. I should have merged the two geometries together so that when I move the vertices together, they would already snap together and merge. But I didn't do it, so it's an extra step, but I didn't do it for the two other ones because I learned, I adapted as I was doing it. So yeah, so all these points are now connected. Now I need to select both geometries and I need to merge them together. Then I need to select all the vertices and I need to merge them again. So it's two steps that I could have avoided if I just joined the two geometries together before I start moving all the vertices. You know what I mean? Anyway, I hope you do. So I just merge all these points. You can see they have been connected. And now it's just one happy geometry. It's still a little bit messy, so let's see if I select these edges here and I smooth them. Let's see what it's going to do. So vertex smooth. Yeah, not too good. So you know what? I'm just going to select the ring here and I'm going to use the space from loop tool to make them at equal distance. Oh, it looks like I screwed up here when I connected the circles. So I'm just going to delete the fencing polygons here. These one, yeah. Another one here. Okay, so now I got a hole. How can I fix this? Well, it's easy. You just select the entire ring here and you just go fill hole. Boom. Hey, you know, let's try a mirror modifier just to see the entire part, just to see what it looks like. So modifier, apply a mirror modifier, and I get this. And that's because the transformation have not been applied. You see here, bad geometry. So just apply the transformation. Everything is set to 0. Now if I turn my modifier on, it's good. It's working. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to apply the mirror modifier because I need to fix some seams in the center. So I'm going to apply this. And if I look around, all the way around, some parts look good. But this part here obviously can be optimized. And now I'm using techniques that I've been showing you at the beginning of this clip. And here you know the drill. You select the faces and you go vertex smooth and you adjust as needed. Here we go. Yeah, I'm not too happy with it. I think I can do better. So let me just select all these polygons here. And what I'm going to do is to fill them so that it will remove all the edges in the center and I will start from scratch. First, I will do the obvious stuff. Okay, so let's try something. All right, so select the polygons and smooth. Well, I'm not too happy with it because I got this one polygon here in the middle and it's not cut in two. And if I use a mirror modifier, it's always going to cut it again in the center. Okay, let's go to plan C. I will cut them in another way. A little bit of smoothing. And it looks like I forgot to delete some edges. So that's not good. Let me remove them and try again. Oh, I still have two triangles here, and this is easier to fix once you do the mirror modifier because now you can connect from one side to the other, which is something I couldn't do before. So now let me try to smooth all this stuff again. And this is a much better solution than what I had before. In this case, all the polygons are about the same size and they are well spreaded. Never be afraid to revisit what you've done before. Actually, we're going to use this technique everywhere. Like I select all these polygons here, I shrink the geometry and I smooth them. And ooh, look, it's much nicer. To do all these ones here, I just select one and I go select similar coplanar. So this way I select all of them. Poof, and then I shrink the selection and I get just the interior when I do this. And now I can do my vertex and smooth. Vertex, smooth. And here I get a much cleaner geometry. This part here is also messy. So you know what? I'm going to do the exact same thing I just did before. I'm going to select all these polygons here. I'm going to fill them and then I'm going to rebuild the geometry. And here again, I'm super lucky that it matches perfectly. I got the exact amount of points that I need to connect from one side to the other. Okay, let's do the vertical ones. Well, two ways you could do this. You could use loop tools, which is easier, but in this case, I don't know why I use this. I use Shift W to subdivide them. Here, triangulate, quadrangulate, you know the drill. It didn't work, so let's do it manually. I will remove all these edges. Boom. Okay, so now we get all this is fixed. We have this on top. How are we going to fix this? If I do this, I get a quad here. And here, well, what am I going to do? Well, actually, maybe I can cut the top edge because it looks like I have a long edge on top. So maybe that's what I'm going to do. But first, I will smooth all these vertices. Okay, so let's fix this triangle on top. I only have one triangle, so there's no way I'm going to be able to get rid of it. I'm just going to be able to move this triangle somewhere else. So if I cut here, connect like this, okay. Then I can cut from here to here, and that's where my triangle is going to be now. But there's no way I can get rid of it, that's for sure. This part is still not looking good to me, so let's see, what can I do? If I smooth the vertices, what do I get? I can do better. Okay, I'm improvising here. I'm trying some stuff. So what if I cut here and here and delete these edges here? Oh, okay, I know. All right, so I'm just going to use the cut tool and do like I did, like I showed you before. A little smoothing and everything is, well, pretty good. Okay, so let's do the same thing with this mess here. So select all these polygons and I'm just going to fill them empty and try to connect again. And smoothing, and yeah, much better. And there was this part here that I did at the beginning. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm just going to connect it straight from one side to another. It's going to be better for the formation. It creates kind of elongated polygons, but you know, they cannot all be perfect quads, squares all the time. So I've changed my mind. I'm just reconnecting them. So there you go, the model has been cleaned up, almost all quads, a few triangles, no nGons. It's watertight, it's very clean, it can be sculpted, it can be deformed, you can do whatever you want with this model, it's gonna work. So there you have it. The answer is, it depends on what you do. You're in gaming, use triangles as much as you want. Doesn't matter, the game engine will convert everything into triangles anyway, it doesn't matter. You work in VFX, for sure, they will ZBrush it. They ZBrush everything in VFX because that's how they add all the imperfections on the model to make it more realistic. And also when you do Houdini simulations, you want a clean model. Also, you don't want to get a crappy model. All right, so there's your answer. All right, bye.